and also updated forecasts and deep analysis with our team of trusted meteorologists, including Chesley McNeil, who has been warning us about this storm for days now. You know, Chesley, we've been talking for a few days about the divergent paths this storm could go down, whether it's best case scenario or worst case scenario. Which direction is the forecast leading us now?
Really worst case scenario as far as winter precipitation goes, because out of all the winter precipitation, when you're talking about rain, obviously you get that in the wintertime, snow, sleet, freezing rain is really what you don't want, because you get ice accumulation. Ice typically weighs down things, okay? Ice creates a coating on the roads, on surfaces, and so it's hard to drive. I don't care what kind of tires you have, it's going to be hard to drive on ice. The thicker that ice is, the worse off we'll be. When you talk about Snowmageddon and reminiscing about what took place here back then, it was the ice that formed on the highways that got everyone stuck and backed up the highways, and people were stuck on the highways for hours and hours. My wife was 17 hours out on the highway. And so that's not something you really want. And that's the scenario that we're looking at right now. And that has become a little bit more likely. And we were looking at that over the last couple of days, and that has become the thing. The other thing I want you to think about, Dan, is this. People flying in today, right, coming into our area may get stuck here right into next week. If they were just coming here for a weekend, that may no longer be the case, because they're going to get stuck here because of the ice accumulation that we're expecting to see around our forecast area. So we've been watching that. Freezing rain is our major concern with our 11 Live weather impact. So you're going to have to plan for travel. You're going to have to plan for power outages. You're going to have to plan for that, all right? And so we've been talking about getting your plan together. And if you don't have it together now is the time to do it. You got another day and a half or so before the precipitation starts to fall in our area, but now would be that time. It's going to be a little bit tough to try to find supplies at this particular point, because a lot of people have been inundating the stores trying to find batteries and emergency supplies and things like that. Now, you look at what's taking place out there now. We do have a winter storm watch. That's all our counties here highlighted in blue, and this extends really all the way back to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and up into New York State. All right, and so everybody's watching for, at this particular point, watching for what type of winter weather will develop in their area. Places to the north of us are looking at snow. Down here to the south, we're looking at ice. In fact, you see added today an ice storm warning for our far northeastern county. So you're talking about Forsyth and Dawson County. That extends northeastward up to Rabun County, and as far east as Elbert County, also Madison, Jackson County, included in that, and areas in between. It's in this area right here that we think will be a bullseye for the highest totals of accumulation as far as the ice goes, which is why we have those areas warned right now. Outside of those areas, you're still looking at ice impacts. They just won't be as great of an impact as we'll see there. So when you look at Atlanta, for example, I don't want you to look at this and say, oh, we have an ice warning up to the north, we're fine here. No, we're not fine here. We're talking about anywhere from 1/10 of an inch of ice into a 1/2 inch of ice possible in the Atlanta metro area. We were talking about the models really all week long, and we were saying how the models were coming together. Earlier in the week, they were kind of off as far as where ice would be, where it would wind up. And as we got closer and closer to today, it started honing in on the areas that would experience ice. And we see that really from Atlanta up toward the northeast into South Carolina and North Carolina. Same with the American model. You're looking at, generally speaking, Atlanta, maybe just south of that, northeastward up into South Carolina and North Carolina. So coming to an agreement on it. Now, what's still in question is how long will this wedge of cold air be in place with the precipitation around? Will it end quickly? Or will it end, will it take a longer time to end? That would be the remaining question for this, because we know that there's going to be some cold air that dams up against the mountains there, but how quickly will it break down, or how much time will it take for it to break down with the available precipitation that we'll have over us? We think that bullseye will be up here to the north and east. So you're looking at Talking Rock and Murrayville, that area there, extending upward into Rayburn County, so up toward Tiger in Rayburn County, our far northeastern county, is where you'll see the higher totals. And if you look at this pink shade, if you match it up with our legend, that goes all the way up to 1 inch of ice. They're talking ice here, okay? Down toward the Alpharetta area, you're looking at 1/2 inch of ice. Down toward the Atlanta metro area, talking about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch of ice. And then the further south you go, those numbers start to fall off a bit. But even with the smaller amounts that can do damage, folks. 1/10 of an inch of ice. What are you talking about? We're talking about a light glaze on the roads and the sidewalks. We're talking about slick bridges, overpasses, a coating on your car windshield, right, or anything that's left outside. The elevated surface is getting now frozen over. Isolated power outages possible. We're talking about 1/4 of an inch of ice, which is what we expect here in the metro area and maybe even higher. Icy roads, obviously, tree limbs sagging or breaking, numerous power outages, and then 1/2 an inch of ice or greater, which we expect from the metro area northeastward. You're talking about dangerous travel conditions. I would say roads impassable. Can't even get out on them. Widespread tree damage and long-term power outages. Now, when you talk about 1/2 inch of ice, it really gets thick. And when we talk about freezing rain, what we're talking about is rain liquid coming out of the sky, and when it hits a surface, right, it starts to freeze along that surface. So you're talking about roads and sidewalks. We're talking about our elevated decks, our patios, especially if they're wooden. You're definitely going to see ice begin to accumulate on that. And so that's what we're talking about. Even, for example, your mailbox, right? As that ice begins to accumulate on that mailbox, it's going to weigh it down. And so you can get things breaking, especially when you talk about 1/2 inch to an inch of ice. And that's what we'll see up into our far northeastern counties. That's what we're watching for. Today is a last day, last chance really to get out and get some things done before the system starts to roll in. Today, we're just going to see the clouds for the most part. An isolated shower or two is certainly possible, similar to what we're seeing in Forsyth County and North Fulton County right now. A few isolated sprinkles around. You got some in Hall County, Banks County as well, further off toward the north and east. That's possible, all right? Off and on as we head through the afternoon, most of us will just see the clouds. It's mild out there right now, comparatively speaking. Temperatures starting off in the 40s, and I think we'll get to the 50s this afternoon, where we had temperatures in the teens up to the far north. We're starting off right around 40 degrees up into Blairsville, so that's pretty good as well. This is just starting to form back off to the west of us. You see how the moisture is building here into Dallas, not really coming off the Gulf yet, but coming off the Pacific Ocean, right? This is Pacific moisture, and it's warm enough here in Dallas right now to support all liquid. But that cold air is just off to the north, where that will be making its way further down to the south. So by mid-morning into early afternoon in Dallas, we're going to start to see that changeover into freezing rain there. It will spread across southern parts of Arkansas and northern Louisiana into Mississippi, Alabama, and eventually over toward us, but won't arrive here until tomorrow. Further north of that is where you're going to find that snow as it continues to head further up to the northeast. So if your plans are to get out today and even travel to places up to the northeast, you could very well get stuck up there as well, because that same area of low pressure that comes our way will slide up the eastern seaboard and keep the conditions, the winter conditions, up there as well. So you may have to do just a little bit of adjusting. Here it is, our forecast track model. You can follow along with me with the time right there at the top of the screen. Shows our chance or a threat for isolated showers for this afternoon for the rest of the day. You wake up tomorrow morning, you're not going to see any winter precipitation, okay? We're going to start you off with cloudy skies. Once we get to the afternoon, I'm stopping this here at 4:30 on Saturday. Notice the metro area right now, not much going on. Notice that easterly flow coming in. That's that colder air damming up against the mountains there. So we may start off with some rain, but that will begin to switch over into freezing rain, especially up here to the far northwest first, and then make its way further down to the south as we head into the evening. I think it's through the overnight, going into Sunday morning, the wee hours of the morning, where we're going to get the bulk of the precipitation. All right, and that cold air is already in place. So that's where we're going to see widespread freezing rain right in there. And hopefully it's at that time that nobody is out on the roads. Most folks are safe in their homes and sleeping, and that's where we'll get the bulk of the precipitation coming down. And so we get that freezing rain. And so as we head further into the morning, we're expecting that to continue to accumulate early Sunday morning into the afternoon before that precipitation begins to wind down a bit. This is the latest update from our, as far as our forecast track model goes, but expecting more of that rain to push in. And by the time it gets to the evening, so here we are by 5 o'clock, some spots of our area will just be seeing all rain at that particular point because of that southerly push that you see coming in. Still got that easterly flow. Will the wedge still be around at this particular point, or will the warm air overtake it? That's going to be the question. That's what we'll be looking for. You see it here, the model suggesting that it will hold on a little further up toward the north and east, where the rest of us would be experiencing some of that rain, again, before it begins to move out and taper off. It's at this point that a lot of people will start to think, oh, it's over. I can go out. Well, no, you can't. That northwest wind will come in here and drop those temperatures down and make it very, very cold. The winds will start to pick up on us as well. You're talking about winds maybe gusting up to 30 miles per hour. So everything that's kind of freezed over will easily begin to fall over or easily snap at that particular point. And you got a refreeze that's taking place as well if anything happened to thaw. Again, with that rain that's pushing through, wet roads, so that's going to begin to freeze. So Monday morning, likely, we're going to see a lot of cancellations as far as school, maybe folks going virtual if they have to, and still trying to repair a lot of power outages that are still out. So Monday will still be an impact day for us, even though we don't have that highlighted because of the weather. All right, because we will get sunshine in here. It's still going to be a day where we're going to be impacted. At that point, we'll go into recovery mode and probably lasting until Tuesday as well. And then by Wednesday, back into the 40s, 30s coming our way as some cooler air will try to sneak in here for the upcoming weekend to come. But these are the days that we're looking at right now. Saturday, especially by the afternoon, going into the wee hours of the morning on Sunday, will have the greatest impacts as far as accumulating ice in our area, Dan.
Well, Chesley, that was all encompassing. Thank you for taking the time to walk us through that. I just hope we can all get through it safely. We appreciate that update.